And the pre-applications help with that. So thank you all for coming out tonight to learn more about that. And additionally, the grant is awarded to a target area within your city. So the target area is chosen partially by how many pre-applications we receive in that area. For the grant, they like to see a nice visual impact of where all the funds are going to be allocated and to be able to show a really big change within a concentrated amount of houses. Generally, we see this area be kind of, sorry, it's driving me crazy. Okay. So generally we see this area being about 40 to 60 homes, sometimes maybe a little bit more. So it can be a fairly large area or it could be a fairly small area, just depending on the commitment that we see within that area. So if you have any friends, neighbors, anybody that you think might meet the qualifications for the program and might be interested, feel free to give them our contact information, which we'll have for you guys, or pre-applications that they can return back to the city. So the more people you have in your area, the more likely your area is to be chosen for the grant application. Does anybody have any questions on the million words I just said? Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, sometimes, and we will touch on that a little bit as well. But sometimes, yes, if a house is too far, there is a only specific amount of funds that we can allocate per home, which we'll be sure to go over in all of this as well. So if a house is needing too much repair, they find it hard to contribute funds to it. The goal of the program is to extend the life of the house essentially for another 20 years. But if they're needing to drop 100 grand into that property, meaning that several other people don't get funded and don't get work because of all the money that goes in that house, that would be something that they wouldn't want to do. And additionally, each property is allocated up to $25,000. So those are kind of the guidelines that the grant wants the Department of Commerce wants their grant recipients to work within to be responsible with those funds, if that makes sense. So from start to finish, the goal of the program from start to finish, once you submit your application, is to be somewhat efficient with the timeline and not bother the applicant essentially more than through a 6-month period. However, since we're still in the grant writing process, we still got some legwork to go till we get to that. So we're a little bit out from that. Anybody else before I get going, sir?
So it depends on the amount of residents in a local area who would get awarded the grant.
So yes, we're going to be looking at the pre-applications that we receive for the program based on some different areas in the city that the city administrative staff knows, these are some really great areas that we want to look at for rehabilitation, kind of combine all of those things to determine essentially where the grant application is going to be written for. But the pre-applications is going to be a strong contributing factor to where the grant application is being written for. And I will say, don't lose hope. If your specific area wasn't chosen for this round, the city is able to reapply after their grant period. Each grant period lasts 2 years. So if for some reason you apply and it's disheartening, I encourage people not to be discouraged because the city's able to repeat this process continuously and serve more and more residents as long, as the program is existing. There's no stipulations on that. So, yeah.
So what size is the area you want to?
About 40 to 60 houses is usually what the area looks at. Yes.
I was just going to mention this. We've already done one round of this.
Yes.
Second round, so the first is to keep the one
As long as there's people that need to be served.
So you won't serve the same area twice.
It's unable to be done. Yes. It's not me specifically, but the Kansas Department of Commerce does not allow the same area to be served twice. That's correct. Yes. Yeah. Oh, in front first.
I was just wondering if we get our application in and sometime, like say, part of mine is my heater, and so it goes out, and I go ahead and replace it, but then my area is approved, can I get that money back? Or
Unfortunately, they do not cover any reimbursement costs.
okay, but then if my, because there's other
Yeah.
Definitely, so I can still get some other things done now.
Yeah, essentially you might have more funding to be able to address, more issues if that issue is resolved. They will not do any reimbursement on the program. And I think I had one more back here before we get going. Yes.
Tell us what area was served last grant run?
Oh, I don't have the specific target area on me. I wouldn't know the streets off the top of my head. Yeah, I know it was Oklahoma, and
9th to 12th or 13th.
thank you, Mike.
Yeah, because I'm trying to send over 15.
Yeah, and then what's that main road? Is that Kansas?
Kansas,
then
yeah.
Went like 3 blocks back to the north.
Right. Because we extended it out.
Yeah.
So it was around the area of Kansas, Oklahoma, and 9th to 9th, and I don't know what the other bound is. To 15th. Yes.
I participated in this in 2008, I believe,
Okay.
so I wouldn't qualify for this one.
To the extent of my knowledge, the city did not have this specific grant in 2008. They might have participated in the home program. And yeah, we did operate in the home program as well. Yeah, so different grant program. Yeah. You were in the first, are you sure you were in the first target area?
That's where I live,
Oh,
but I never filled out the application or anything. Would I still be able to get there?
unfortunately for that specific target area, if you're absolutely sure you were in it, I would recommend that maybe afterwards you write your address down for me so we can check that to be sure, because that program has ended. However, you might still qualify for weatherization assistance program services or yeah. The weatherization program is ongoing in this county. You can apply for that at any time. And that's going to be mostly income-based program. And they do an assessment of your home, which we'll touch on as well. All right. So we'll take more questions at the end of the presentation. If it's okay with everybody, we can move forward and we can kind of address questions either as we go or at the end, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I will say I do love all the questions and the feedback. Sometimes in large groups, people get very shy. So thank you all for all your questions. And we'll kind of start on page 1. So we're here for the 2025 rehabilitation grant. Of course, we touched a little bit on SCED and who we are. We're a nonprofit organization serving our membership counties for over 50 years. We have several different departments, as discussed, our grant writing and administrative departments, business loan department, and also our weatherization programs. Our goal, of course, is to partner with local communities to improve quality of life, attract new businesses, accelerate job growth, and encourage new development. So all the people within our organization work with communities such as yours to try to work with your administrative staff to help make economic changes, housing changes, downtown district changes. We work in water, sewer, infrastructure. There's all sorts of programs that we work in communities like yours. That one is community-based, so that one's city-based, yeah. Ready. The community development block grants for housing. So the housing rehabilitation grants support rehabilitation of owner-occupied properties and rental properties. If you're a renter, it does require commitment from your landlord, but it also is available for homeowners. All these target areas are determined through a local housing assessment process. We take pre-applications from residents and we obtain all these in the grant writing process, kind of as discussed before, to determine where the target area is going to be. And then after we write the grant and submit it, the rehabilitation funds are awarded to local government entities such as cities like yours. The maximum amount that can be applied for the grant is $300,000, and each property can receive up to $25,000 in rehabilitation funds per home. Does anybody have any questions on that? I think that one's pretty straightforward. Boop, 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 boop. Doo-doo-doo. So there are several different ways that this grant can assist your community. It can be through the owner-occupied housing rehabilitation. You have to do kind of a flip on this one. So the owner-occupied housing rehabilitation serves low to moderate income residents, and we'll go through those specific guidelines on another slide. The goal of that specific service is to rehabilitate homes with zero to very little cost from the homeowner. If you are a landlord, your properties can also qualify based on your tenant's income. If they qualify under those low to moderate income guidelines, you can qualify for these grant funds. If you are a landlord and you're a low to moderate income landlord, you only have to contribute 15% of the project costs for your properties. Or if you are not a low to moderate income landlord, you have to contribute 25%. Either way, it's still contributing to housing stock in the community, revitalizing houses for the next 20 years, and it's ultimately benefiting, the people that are living in your properties. It is adjusted gross income, yes. And I think that's on the next one. So demolition is also covered in this program based on the target area that the city may find most feasible for the program. Demolition is at no cost to the homeowner as well. So within that target area, we can remove blighted structures that might be unsafe or unsightly to the community, and no cost to the homeowner for that. The program also covers relocation expenses. And I bring this up because there are certain times per the federally mandated guidelines that if there's a child in the home under 6 years old and we're dealing with a renovation that may have lead-based paint hazards, there are allowables in the grant to pay for relocation expenses during that time. So that child does not have to be around lead-based paint hazards. As we know, those could be incredibly dangerous and all the contractors follow those procedures, but we definitely want to make sure that those little ones who are really susceptible to lead-based paint are taken care of. And then the last item on that is that it covers the administrative and inspection costs. So there are several inspections that are required for this program, but none of those are going to be at cost to the homeowner, and we'll go over those in another slide as well. So this is the big one that everybody always wants to know. Oh, sorry, go back one. So thank you. These are the income limits for your county at this time. So these will be updated. They are usually updated in March and they raise a little bit. But as you'll see on the left side, it's based on the number of people who live in the household and then the total amount of income in the household. This is for everyone who is living in the home over the age of 18 based on their adjusted gross income on their most recent tax return. So if you see these numbers and you think, I'm pretty sure that I fall within those guidelines, we highly encourage you to submit a pre-application for the program. We really want to get accurate pre-applications back so that we can have the most accurate information we can to apply for the grant. We can also accept Social Security or disability letters when that time comes. For the pre-applications, we don't need any of that. It's just your certification of saying, yes, I'm within this income bracket. All of that comes later after the city is awarded the grant. We'll get back with you through that pre-application contact information, and we'll request that at a later date. So we'll walk you through that whole process. Does anybody have any questions on that? Yes, sir. Oh.
What about the income that falls in between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3? And what about?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is, if you have, how many people do you have in your home?
Well, I'll say 2.
2. Okay, if we're going at 2, if you look at the 2 line, you can make a maximum of $49,350. So anything under that for 2 people would qualify you, is how the chart works. So if you have 4 people, you go over and look at, for 4 people, the maximum you can make to be in the program is $61,650. Does that kind of help?
So,
Okay.
okay, like between 3 and 2.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
So you're going backwards. So anyway, anything between 55 and 49. That's basically what you're saying? Or you say, or you look at it with you, anything between 49 and 43.
So it's that and under.
Uh,
It's that and under. So you can make anything under. If you have two people, you can make anything under 49,350. It's not like a range, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, if you have individuals that are disabled,
Mhm.
how do they count that?
So we usually go off their social security or disability letter for that income. Even if you think you're pretty close to it, if they're on social security or disability, sometimes we have a little bit of leeway on those. I would still submit a pre-application with that income amount so we can take a peek at it. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people who are on that don't have to file taxes. So then you're like, what do I do? I can't look at my adjusted gross income. But if you're filing Social Security or disability, if you were to file a tax return, your adjusted gross income would be like zero. So yeah, yes, sir.
Is that off of 2024?
Yes, this is off the 2024 HUD guidelines. Those will be updated usually in March. So it'll raise probably just a little bit.
The person goes from 2 to 1, and their 2024 was 2 people, and now you just have 1.
Right, right. So what we're looking at, since we're going to be submitting in 2025, depending on when the grant is submitted, we're most likely going to be going off your 2024 tax return. So wherever you're going to be at for 2024 year is, sorry, my apologies. We're most likely going to be going off your 2024 tax return, depending on when you apply. That's the information I would kind of use as a guide, if that's what the question was.
In my case, it would be the income for 2, but now it's just 1.
Now it's just one. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to tell. I would go ahead and put a pre-application in if you think you're close, because at the rate it takes to do the grant application and the grant approval process, the grant won't actually be active until most likely 2026, when we'll be really getting things rolling, you know? So we'd be going off your 2025 income. So I would go off of just you, most likely. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yes.
Do those AGI, is that just not taxable income, or is that only taxable income?
It's a specific line that's going to be on your tax return that takes into some adjustments, and it'll actually say on it, this is your adjusted gross income, AGI. It's usually on the first page, kind of near the bottom. Yeah. All right. And of course, right now, I would say if you're close to this, I would say you'd probably be good to submit a pre-application and write in what your estimated income is. And then we can get more specific on it as we move forward. Anybody else? Yeah.
Is there ever a time where you guys come in and see someone's house and say, no, you gotta leave and then they'll leave their house?
No. We're not going to kick anybody out of their houses. No. No, yeah, that's a valid question. No, we are not HUD. However, there are some conditions that homes have to be in for the project, which we'll go over as well.
Well, I was gonna ask my neighbor to at least put in an application, but they will probably be afraid of that happening.
Yeah, I would say if their house is in that much like disrepair, it probably would not be viable for the program just based on cost. But yeah, yeah, that's tough. All right, next slide. Okay, so these are things that can be covered underneath the Housing Rehabilitation Grant. This is kind of just a broad level review of things that we do kind of on a regular basis. Roof replacement, electrical and plumbing, heating and air conditioning, window repair or replacement, siding repair or replacement, minor foundation repair, and other items to meet HQS standards, which Mike is the specialist in. He is the inspector for all the properties and does an HQS inspection for each home. These are kind of common repairs that we have, but we do commonly handrails for stairs. We do porch rebuilds, or things like that, depending on the funds that we have. But one thing I do want to be very clear on is it is not a remodeling program, it is a rehabilitation program. The reason that we're able to very often address siding replacement, if there's an issue with the siding where it might be coming off the home, that's considered a health and safety issue. If there's lead-based paint in windows and areas that have friction and it might be creating lead dust, we're allowed to replace windows because that lead-based paint hazard could be present. So it is a health and safety program that just also happens to look really nice. So that's always good. Now, on the next slide, there are additional services that are allowable through the weatherization program. As we kind of briefly touched on earlier, this program can be used in conjunction with weatherization services. If you have received our weatherization, the Kansas Weatherization Assistance Program, they can be used in conjunction with each other. Just because you had one doesn't mean you can't use the other. But a lot of times what we do in this program is we have people fill out the weatherization program application as well. And then we can address additional concerns in their home at the same time. It gives us a little bit more money. We're able to address things like insulation, duct systems, repair or replacement of HVAC, other items that might be related to health and safety. Air sealing measures are pretty common things, I would think. We see. Am I missing anything, Mike? No? Okay. Next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, so this is one of the clients that was served in our last round of housing rehabilitation, Mary Gillette. She had a really nice little project we're going to show you guys on the next page. But this was her testimony for the program. So for those, it's very small who can't see that. She said, I was impressed by the repairs completed on my home, like the furnace, the gutters, and air conditioning. I didn't expect these extra repairs on top of siding and windows. The contractors were fast and professional. Being on retirement income, this allowed me to have repairs on my home I otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford. So she was one of the clients served in your community recently for the 2022 grant, which just ended. And then on the next slide, we actually have Mary's property. It's kind of hard to tell on the screen, but Mary had, when I'm right there in my computer, I can really see it all, but she had new vinyl siding, roof replacement, replaced windows, installed new guttering, downspouts and splash blocks, window replacement, and they brought the electrical in her home up to code. On the next slide, we have another project that was served here in your community for the 2022 grant round. Within this one, we had new vinyl siding, new exterior doors, and sliding back door. We replaced the windows, installed new guttering, downspouts, and concrete splash blocks. Window replacement, we brought electrical up to code and also gave her new smoke detectors. So you can see how it's all considered health and safety, but it also can make a huge visual impact on your home and the area. Yes.
When I had the rural development, I had to get 3 estimates for each of the
Yes.
things I was done. It sounds like you have your own contractor.
Yeah, it's actually it's a very similar guidelines we have to follow as in that program, but we do that for the city. So we do have a contractor list that we work with. And then additionally, we always work with our city administrative staff to try to reach out to local contractors to get them certified for the program. We want to see these funds put back into your community, be used in your community. So we're always constantly looking for contractors and helping them with their certifications for it. So if you guys do know any local contractors or anybody you think might be interested, feel free to give them one of my cards I'll have out after this. Yes, I know that can be a huge pain. I just had a conversation with a gentleman a few weeks ago who was like, I can't get anybody with lead safe work practice certification to come out and bid on this. It's very, very difficult, especially if you don't have kind of resources already in place. So we do all of that. Next one. I've got two more before, I think, yeah, two more before and afters for you. It's my favorite part. So this one was one we finished up recently in Cedarvale, Kansas. A really nice transformation. He was able to get a lot of stuff done. On this property, they had new vinyl siding, roof replacement, replaced windows, installed a new front porch and roof supports, installed new guttering, downspouts, and splash blocks. They built a new back deck for him with railings. I wish I had more room for pictures. They also did tuck pointing and painting on the foundation walls, and they did electrical work to bring the home up to code. We can do minor foundation work within the program, but substantial foundation work often puts the property over cost. And that's something I really like to mention kind of early and often, just to give people a heads up on that. This last one in Winfield had new siding, painted front porch, new guttering, replaced 3 storm windows and other windows. They had interior paint, new electric water heater, and a new outside light fixture. So this is kind of a few examples of the before and after visual impact. Of course, our goal is to make homes more habitable and safer, and we want all your electric brought up to code, and that's the primary goal, is health and safety. But it also can make a huge visual difference for you and for your block, as well. So next one, thank you. So yeah, sorry.
So I know you kind of brought up at the beginning.
Yeah.
3 applications kind of determine the area that does get served.
It's a big factor of it. Yeah.
So in that factor, then does like the actual condition of the house, so if it has that lead paint, asbestos siding, stuff like that, does that actually play a factor in determining the area as well?
Yeah, we do have a series of inspections that we have to go through those homes for all the homes. If you have lead-based paint, if you have those conditions, it doesn't mean that you're a denial. Most of the homes we work on have lead-based paint. Like, yeah. I mean, I live in a 100-year-old house. I get it. But I would say almost all the homes we work in have lead-based paint. So that's not any reason for denial. Okay, so this is Mike's specialty. If you have any specific Mike questions. Yes, sir.
Does this have anything to do with interior of the home?
Yes.
What I mean about the exterior.
Yes, we do also do some interior things that relate to health and safety as well. It's not uncommon to see electrical work, plumbing, maybe paint. If you have peeling lead-based paint anywhere, those areas may be addressed. Once again, it's not a remodeling program, so we're not going to be just replacing people's carpets and putting in clawfoot bathtubs, but we do also take care of some interior work as well. Yes.
Okay, so in that, I know, like when you're doing the interior side, like if they got old refrigerators, stoves,
Sorry.
stuff like that, does that, when you're doing that and you notice that, does that fall into another category of your regularization program or whatever program you guys
Yeah.
have where, hey, this is a
Yeah.
50-year-old refrigerator?
No, this is a perfect time for this question. So there's several different inspections that are going to incur for kind of different needs. So let me go through these next couple slides. I think might answer that. And then if you have more questions on it, definitely let me know. So the inspections that we follow, the way it works is, first off, Mike will come out and he'll do a whole house inspection of your property. And he'll see which items are allowable to be covered by the grant funds and which items have to be coverable by the grant funds. You may say, I don't want my handrail fixed. Well, if it's a safety hazard and it's something that is of concern, the way that we have to do the program is that has to be addressed. So it's his job to make sure that all these federal guidelines are followed and that all the health and safety items on your project are addressed. This might mean that your neighbor's scope of work on their project is very different from the scope of work on your project. And it kind of just falls on a case-by-case scenario of what needs to be done at your property and what's allowable in the grant. So we do have to follow those guidelines, and that when that's inspection's done. I'm ready. So after the initial inspection, when Mike looks at all the work and he sees what needs to be done on the property, there are other inspections that are required for the grant process. Once again, all these inspections are free to you. A lot of times these inspections can be very expensive, and you get full copies of all the reports on your home for your lead inspection, for your radon inspection. He does the first one, the full house inspection. And then if everything looks like it's going to be a good project, we can move forward. We'll have those inspectors come out and you get full copies of those inspections as well. So you know exactly where any lead-based paint may be in your home. You're going to know if there's any radon gas in your home, and all those items that are in disrepair, whether it's lead-based paint or if you have radon gas, are coverable to be taken care of by the grant. So if there's any peeling, chipping paint, or if your radon levels in your house are above a certain maximum allowable limit, we can install radon gas mitigation systems. As we know, that's, I think, one of the leading causes of cancer in homes. So we always like to make sure we're following those procedures. Yes, sir.
All these inspections be done after you select an area.
Yes, yes. But I kind of like to let everybody know what you're getting into early and often. If it's going to be a good fit for you, if you're going to meet the income guidelines, if you're willing to comply with the inspections, and you feel comfortable filling out a pre-application and saying, yes, I'm ready to go. I will do all these inspections. It's a big old pain in the behind, but it'll be worth it when it's done, because we want to turn in really accurate pre-applications of people we know are going to be committed to the program and go through with the program. So I like to be really upfront kind of about all the things that are done in the process. So, I'm ready. I'm ready to submit that.
Sorry about it.
Yeah.
But does that mean like when they do the inspections, basically they tell you what needs to be done and then they go with that? Like for me personally, I would say, first of all, I need to eat.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I would say my wiring needs to be up to code so that we don't have a fire.
Yes.
In the roof.
Yes.
So when they come and do the inspection, are they gonna pick their own little things, or are they gonna let me say, well, this is my concern?
For sure. They definitely, I think that's probably one of the first questions.
Yeah, I usually
Mike
ask
asks.
you what you think's wrong with your
Yeah.
house. I'll write down what you give me and go from there.
Yeah.
Is this to the landlord, or is this to the tenant? Are you giving this information once you do your?
It would be both. Yes. By law, we're required to give reports of those health and safety inspections to both the owner and to the tenant. So we always provide copies to everybody. Yes, sir.
I can't find it, but I was reading something about attics. So what,
Yes.
what would a condition of the attic would require repair with the insulation? Sometimes you said something about insulation. It's about the type of insulation, the lack of insulation, or outdated?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not the expert on that.
That would deal more with the weatherization program. And just depends how much insulation's in the attic, and they can add more insulation and stuff like that. The attic walls, crawl spaces and all that.
So we kind of touch on that a little bit in the next slide, kind of with all the inspections. Additionally, in the program, next one, right? Yeah. Oh, would you mind clicking the next one? Thank you. So additionally in the program, if you qualify income-wise for this grant, you can automatically income qualify for weatherization. And the reason I like to bring that up, that's really cool, is usually the weatherization program is on a lower income limit. Excuse me. Usually the income for weatherization is required to be lower, but with the low to moderate grant program, if you qualify in the grant program and are approved, you can also get those services too. So normally those wouldn't be available to someone on that higher moderate level, but you can also get those things as well. And kind of a brief overview of what they do in the weatherization inspection is they have several different testing items that they use in their program to check your home. They have infrared technology where they can check the walls to see where you have heat and where there might be cold spots to see if there's insulation there without having to drill a hole and find out. They also have like a big blower unit that they hook up, and they can test for any leakiness, in the home or any drafts and things to that effect. The weatherization program runs all of the information from their inspection into a computer system. And essentially, from what I understand, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but the weatherization audit system essentially decides, if we replace this and this and this and this, um, will it be able to pay for itself in X amount of time is how it makes that decision. Does that sound right? Okay. I'm not in that department, so I just want to make sure I don't butcher that. Um, so if I have seen situations where someone may have, like a very, very, very old refrigerator, and that might be something that's able to be replaced through that program. I don't know if that's super typical, but I know it is all based on that audit system and what the computer says is a viable purchase. Does that sound right, Mike? Okay. And I don't know if that fully answered your kind of weatherization and inspection questions and how those kind of work together. I know it's a lot, but like I said, I like everybody to know what they're getting into and be super committed and know kind of the whole process up front. So there are some expectations, for applicants in the program. Once this grant opens, you're in the target area. Your target area is awarded. All the applications are on a first come, first served basis to the low to moderate residents in that area that meet those income guidelines. So that means whoever has their application completed, they have all their documentation turned in, they've got their taxes turned in, they've got their utility, bills turned in, they've got all the required items that are on the list turned in. They're going to be first come, first serve. So we're here to assist you when that time comes with the application process. Other expectations, the paid relocation if necessary. There are grant funds available for that. There is a 3-year occupancy agreement for the program for people to either remain in their home for a 3-year period or have the home transferred to another low to moderate income resident for that period. If you choose to not transfer to a low to moderate resident and you are a homeowner, there is a 3-year arrangement where you have to pay back a portion of those funds to the grant, to the Department of Commerce, or to the city if you decide to move. And I like to mention that very early and very often. There's no loan that you're paying on. There's no things to that effect. It's essentially a provision to prevent house flipping. There's no rules ever made without someone breaking something, right? So I don't know if at one point in time they were having issues with people trying to flip homes in the program. The program's intended to serve low to moderate residents. And we don't want a landlord coming in and flipping houses and raising rents and doing stuff like that. So there's certain provisions in the grant that prevent that from happening so these homes can continue to serve low to moderate income residents. We do also require that the home be free of excessive items. So if you have a room that's floor to ceiling in boxes, that room's going to have to be cleared out. Contractors have to be able to move around the home safely and efficiently. So homes with excess items, if we assess those for work, we may get back with you and say, this might look like a viable project, but we'll come back to relook at it, when we're able to get some stuff cleared up. Of course, you need access for the contractors and the inspectors to come in and do those inspections and contract work. If you have excessive mold in the property, if you've got floor to ceiling mold, that could be a denial for the program. Also, if you have excessive pests, or animal debris, those could also be cause for denial for the program. We have to make sure that these environments are safe for contractors to come in and work in and for our inspectors to come inspect in. So those are requirements for the program. So if someone's thinking about being in the program and you may have some concerns about this is a way heads up that those are items that we check for so that people can get that under control before they're at that stage. So ultimately, the way that you guys can help with this grant is by submitting a pre-application showing commitment for your specific neighborhood and your target area. This helps demonstrate the interest of the citizens for the city to get the funds and shows the grant reviewers that there's support from the community. The more applications that you receive in your area, the better chances of your neighborhood being selected. After the grant award, the city will refer to these pre-applications as a point of contact to get back in touch with you, because we aren't always all looking at social media or the newspaper or whatever. But these pre-applications will be a way that they can keep in touch with you and your contact information, so they can say, hey, the grant's open, we're ready to take applications, and we want you to be on that first round. So that's a great benefit of the pre-applications as well. And I think that's it. Getting involved early helps shape the program, determine your focus area, and securing funding for your community. So I think that's everything I have. There's so much. I know there's so much. And then the last slide is just, are there any questions from everybody? I'm sure you guys are a talkative bunch, sir.
Okay, if you're selected in the program, in
Mhm.
the area, can the money run out before they get to your house?
I would say that's pretty rare. The way that we design the target areas, of course, it is a first come, first serve basis. So, I mean, if it were me, I definitely want to make sure I had that stuff as timely as possible. But we try to design with the city those target areas, an appropriate amount of houses, so that we can serve several people within that area. It is a possibility, but I would say it's very rare for that to be a problem. One over.
Do you
So-
have, solarization in this?
We do not at this time. We do not have solarization at this time. Who knows? We might by the time this grant's open, but not yet. Yeah.
Since the last grant, in this area was 2 years ago?
Yes, that grant was awarded in 2022, and the grant program's run for 2 years. So that program is now over, and we're starting all over.
So they finished all the work that they were.
Yeah, that work is all finished and done. Yeah. Anybody else?
How
Oh.
much work was done in that area? 10,000?
6 total homes in that specific target area. Yeah.
Yeah. Typically, we try to get 10 to 12 houses.
Yeah, we usually shoot for about 10, I would say. Yeah. But it's not bad. Yeah. Do what? There is potential that, if a city has a grant target area and they're, wanting to try to expand that area to get more applicants, that they can do that. There's kind of a process you have to go through to get that done, but it's not undoable. If that were to happen, if that's where you're wondering, if that were to happen, if you say the block over next to you got awarded for a grant and you did not, the city would do substantial outreach to garnish new pre-applications for an area that they would be expanding into. Additionally, they would have your pre-application on file, and they'd be able to see, we already have so-and-so and so-and-so on the block over, so we constantly refer back to these pre-applications as a basis of kind of a guide, of how to make decisions throughout these processes. If that kind of answered where you were going with that, okay. Yes.
If you put in the pre-application and your house doesn't get included in
Yeah.
this grant round,
Yeah.
is your file kept open? for the
Yes.
next-
Yes. I actually, what I work with cities on doing is I create an interactive map where we map every single pre-application that we have across the city, so we can kind of see an overview of where these pre-applicants are, and then we can make a comprehensive plan for not just this grant year, but the grant year 2 years from now, maybe the grant year 2 years after that, and we can look at where we're having the most feedback to kind of create a plan. If it's okay with you, your information will be retained that there's interest at your property, so we can get back in touch with you. So, sorry, I keep breathing into it. I'm sorry.
So then, hear you say then, is for the area, say I have houses in a particular area.
Yes.
So it would be an advantage, it would be advantage for me to try and get other people within that area to fill out pre-applications so that that could possibly be chosen as a targeted area? Is that what you're?
Yes, if they're income qualified for the program, if they fit within those guidelines, then it would definitely be a benefit. If you have a neighbor and you're like, I know Marge next door is definitely on Social Security, she could truly benefit from this program. She'd be a great pre-applicant, or things to that effect. Yeah.
Since you have this mapped out, say that
Yeah.
you have a certain amount within an area that could possibly be targeted, chosen.
Yeah.
But then you have also where you had different ones that had applied earlier, but nothing took place. Is there any way that we would be able to touch base with those individuals that had applied at a time, or do you reach out to them?
Yeah. You're saying if for some reason an application is denied, is that what you're saying in the target area, and we touch back with those? Is that correct?
Then, like, maybe someone puts in for a targeted area, doesn't get chosen that time that it happened.
Yes.
But now that area has been chosen, you said you have it all mapped out. So
Yeah.
you reach out to the people who, when they actually had.
Yes.
before, okay.
Yes, absolutely. So for example, I have someone last housing round who wasn't in the target area, but they submitted an application. So we have that application on file listed as a pre-application commitment already for that specific person. So the information that you're providing will be used to help create a comprehensive kind of plan to move forward. So it's very helpful. Thank you. Oh. Yes, ma'am. Would you like one? Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody who'd like a pre-application, or if you need to head out and you're like, I gotta go, you're welcome to take one. I can continue to take questions, and we'll get those out to y'all.
Can we knock on door to door and basically get our neighbors to sign up?
I think I might leave that to the city, but if you know them, I mean, I don't know. Are your neighbors friendly? Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to get my cards out for anybody who needed them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
You want your house to be a part of this targeted area. I have more than one house.
Yeah.
And so how is your income broken and or
Yeah, so if you're a landlord, and you want to look at this project, you can receive a discount if you're a low to moderate income person. So if you meet those, sorry, thank you, sir. Yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. My contact information is also on the last slide, as well as the weatherization department. But to answer your landlord question, it's going to go off your income. There you go, sir. Yeah. One more. Oh my gosh, I'm going to run out. Did you want one? Thank you, sweetheart, so much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can also reach out to Nick.
Go to scad.org.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My question is, I'm having, I need to understand
Didn't check with
if the
But,
area you're talking about is based on the amount of houses,
them. They'll come.
and based on
Not too bad.
the streets like
Weatherization has
Chestnut,
another
the
street.
Kansas Avenue,
That's what we usually do.
or
We usually
Sixth
route it by
Street,
streets.
Third Street.
Yeah, we usually route it by streets to make it easy and it's very easy to understand and read.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
I remember you, Mike.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's old now, though.
Yeah.
But
I put extra stacks on.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be some things done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This program will help. Now, we rented them out, do a thing.
That was
But
my
there's
hit.
some things that.
Any more application working from our
Man, I was.
Yeah.
And we have all of the seniors.
Yeah.
And all of us